Hello guys, welcome back to the post-match review of the Champions League round of 16 first leg. And should I talk about the fact that some teams just fumbled their ways in the round of 16? Well, guys, I don't know what to talk about these Premier League teams, because how exactly are you, like, the 6 teams that qualified to the round of 16, only two out of 6 drew their game, gave themselves a chance. The remaining ones were beaten like thieves. They went to steal something. Okay, now on Tuesday, Liverpool went all the way to Rams Park to face Galatasaray, and Galatasaray did a hard one on them for the second time in this Champions League season, beating them 1-0. Victor Osimhen obviously getting an assist, and Lemina getting the goal, keeping Galatasaray's hope of getting to the quarterfinals alive. Now, when you look at the performance, you would think, oh, okay, Liverpool didn't play very well. They didn't deserve to get a point. But I think the performance was good enough. They were just unlucky not to take their chances. And yeah, they have to be blamed for that performance. But Galatasaray did what they had to do to get to maybe, let me say it this way, give themselves a chance in the second leg. Now, Tottenham, on the other hand, were bamboozled by Atletico Madrid, losing that game 5-2. Alvarez scoring a goal, Llorente scoring a goal, and for Tottenham, Pedro Porro and Solanke getting the consolation goals for them. Obviously, I don't think Tottenham has a chance in the next round, and that is just to show you how bad they've been this season, either in the Premier League or any other competition they've been. And I did say that the fact that they even got to the round of 16 is still a miracle. So I did expect that they were going to struggle and probably just end their campaign in this current Champions League in the round of 16. I wasn't surprised with the result. And then Newcastle were able to get the job done against Barcelona. However, I did expect them to go with a 1-0 win, but Barcelona found a way to get a point in that game, with Lamine Yamal getting the penalty very last minute. It would have been really painful for Newcastle, but they did an amazing job. And you can tell that the performance that they had against Paris Saint-Germain in the playoffs was not a fluke. So definitely they did, instead of me saying the playoffs, in the final game of the league phase, it wasn't just for that game. You could tell that they are looking, going far in that Champions League. However, they are facing a Barcelona team that I think is also looking to win the Champions League. They've not won it in how many years? Almost 10 years now. And they're definitely looking to win it again. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how that turns out in the second leg in Camp Nou. Now, to Wednesday's games, Arsenal were able to get a point against Bayer Leverkusen. I think these other teams, their plan, especially against the Premier League, is that none of them is going to qualify to the round of 8, the quarterfinals. Because tell me how Bayer Leverkusen were able to get a point against Arsenal, and Arsenal that have been playing so well in the Champions League, and it seemed like they just struggled a little bit to put things together. And if not for Noni Madueke just getting that penalty, obviously it was substituted in after Mikel Arteta brought out Saka, who I think was really not in the game anyways, and Madueke had an impact. He did, because coming off the bench, terrorizing the defenders, and then eventually getting that penalty which Kai Havertz scored, it was a big statement. However, they felt that I honestly felt like Arsenal could have done better, probably get a win, but they still have a chance, which means they're still in the tie. So if Bayer Leverkusen can, for whatever miracle it is, go to the Emirates and maybe score first again, maybe they give themselves a chance to get to the next round. But you just begs the question as to how Premier League teams are really struggling in this round of 16. Because already, it looks like only 2 teams are going to qualify to the next round. I say this because Man City, who I thought would have had an easier outing against Real Madrid, looking at how Real Madrid have been really, really bad this season, somehow they couldn't score a goal. I'm not even sure if they had a shot on target, because Real Madrid were so good that they didn't give Man City the chance. With Semenyo, Haaland, Chekio, Tijani Reinders that was brought in later, not as in absolutely nothing. And then Man City defense was all over the place. What was Maguire doing? Donnarumma. You were even lucky that it was 3-0 because you yourself caused a penalty, but you saved yourself by reducing that scoreline to 3, because it could have been 4 or 5-0 in favor of Real Madrid. Man City of all people. Anyways, that's football and the Champions League for you. And so now, Man City's chance of getting a spot in the quarterfinals is limited, because they now have 4 goals that they have to score against Real Madrid in the second leg at the Etihad, which I think is going to be impossible. Except if Real Madrid are just not up to that game and they just come out just being lackadaisical about the game, which I honestly don't see happening anyways. I don't see it happening. So now, I don't know how Man City is going to do it, but I don't see them being in the what? In the quarterfinals. To make things worse, world champions Chelsea also lost in a terrible manner to Paris Saint-Germain. Now, the first half was a good performance. It was end-to-end. It was back and forth from both sides. The coach, who should have known better, made some terrible substitutions by taking off Cole Palmer and João Pedro, and then bringing on Romeo Lavia and who? Delap. Please, is it exactly what was Delap supposed to come and do? Removing your main threat, João Pedro and Cole Palmer, was you giving Paris Saint-Germain the license to do whatever it is they want to do with you. He should have left them on and see what happens. Probably the game ends even in a draw. But it's just good. This shows you that the Premier League teams is just all hype. There's nothing much to them, because when you look at the fact that a Premier League team hasn't won the Champions League in the last, I think, 2 seasons. I think the last team that won it was obviously Paris Saint-Germain. But before that, it's crazy. It's Real Madrid. So when you look at the fact that Premier League teams have not really done it, they've not won the Champions League in, I think, about 3 seasons. I think the last one was Chelsea. I think it was Chelsea before, which was 2021. Yeah, Chelsea was the last Premier League team to have won the Champions League. 2022, 2023, 2024, it's been Spanish teams, Real Madrid. So it just goes to show you that yes, a lot of these Premier League teams might not exactly be as hyped as the Premier League, but they're getting the job done when it comes to the Champions League. Don't forget that record winners of that Champions League are Real Madrid. Yes, maybe Barcelona has not done it in a long time. Atletico Madrid have tried to push themselves, here and there. But the fact that they've been the side or the league that has won the Champions League the most still says a lot about the Premier League. It says a whole lot about the Premier League. And now, as it's looking, it doesn't even look like any team at all, because if Bayer Leverkusen decides to come out in that second leg and they beat us now, that's it. And then Barcelona, it just seemed like Barcelona is going to get the job done, obviously, in Camp Nou in the second leg. So the only team that has probably any hope of qualifying to the quarterfinals is either Arsenal or Liverpool, and that is if Liverpool can even do it. That is if they can do it. So let me say Arsenal right now, because they look like the team that is going to get it done, especially if they are playing at home in that second leg. So really, what is all the hype about the Premier League? What was the hype about? What is the hype about? It's just been really disappointing to say the least. Having 6 teams qualify from, about 5 of them qualify automatically to the round of 16, 1 of them through the playoffs, and somehow it looks like almost the whole of 6 teams are not going to make it into the... Hey. Oh my God, Premier League. Well, I don't know what you think of the Premier League team's performance so far in this round of 16 of the Champions League, but it's been really bad. And I get that, yes, some of them, okay, maybe I should say, because if you remember Paris Saint-Germain, the league gave them the chance to rest before the game. But even at that, I still don't think is enough, because yes, they lost their last game at home against Monaco in the French Ligue 1. So maybe the performance, and I think this was down to Chelsea, to be honest. I think it was down to them, because they played very well for about 60-70 minutes until those substitutions were made, and it just looked like they were vulnerable. They looked clueless. They didn't know what to do. Premier League, all this hype about them has to come down a little bit, though, because if none of them qualifies to the quarterfinal, insult. The Premier League will hear it. They will hear it. Won't be small. No. It's not going to be good. Nah, it's not going to be good. So they need to do better. You can't spend record amount of money in transfer market, and it seems like the leagues that are not spending that much are doing better when it comes to this bigger tournament. If you ever seen other teams like Bodo Glimt, for them to even get to the round of 16 is still a miracle. Is a huge testament. It's history. It's history. Beating Inter Milan home and away. That's just amazing. It is amazing. Bayern, at this point, I think Bayern are the favorites to win the Champions League, because the way they beat Atalanta out the park, it's ridiculous. So Premier Leagues have to, sit down and think about this whole hype about themselves. They are not it at all. If you have the only thing that I can say is an advantage of them finishing, about 6 of the teams finishing, or entering into the round of 16, is the fact that maybe next season, when teams are playing in the Premier League to qualify for the next Champions League, then they say, okay, maybe 4 teams, 5 teams. But the truth is, the longer these other teams go in the Premier League, it reduces the chances of 5 teams or 6 teams going into the round of into the league phase of the Champions League next season. So there's still a lot of work to be done, a whole lot of work to be done. But anyways, guys, that's my thoughts on the Premier League team's performance, especially in the round of 16 first leg fixtures. But it's really disappointing. Share your thoughts in the comment section, what you think so far of the Premier League team's performances, and if you think, or which teams you think will still have a chance to qualify to the round of 8, the quarterfinals. Also, don't forget to put on your post notification button to get our latest video as they drop. Most importantly, subscribe to our channel. Please subscribe. It is absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything, and I'm sure and I know that you guys are enjoying the content. So please keep sharing with your loved ones, your colleagues, friends, family members, enemies, in fact. Okay, please subscribe to the channel. Just don't watch and scroll past. Subscribe. It doesn't take anything for you to subscribe. It's less than a second though. Okay, just pause and subscribe, and that's it. And you can continue watching the video. Okay, so please subscribe to the channel. And just before I let you go, don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms at _official FSH. Anyways, guys, that's the much from me today. So guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye bye.